I believed it to be merely a trivial error, one that would conclude without further consequence, yet I was mistaken. That day marked the inception of what would evolve into the most intricate, most taboo experiences of my existence. Even now, as I recount this tale, I can sense my hands quivering, for this is more than mere confession. It is a clash with the turmoil within me, a struggle between shame and longing. Daniel, my mother's longtime friend who had become almost like family, possessed a maturity and charisma that radiated confidence. He was the type of man whose presence alone commanded attention, without the need for loud words. He often remained silent within the confines of the home, yet his mere presence had the power to saturate any space. He was my mother's second husband, and our relationship had always been distant. He maintained a courteous demeanor, yet remained aloof, until that fateful day when everything transformed. My mother, Laura, was out with her friends as she often is. The house was bequeathed to Daniel and myself. The evening was shrouded in a stillness that I had anticipated would last, or so I believed. I found myself in the solitude of my room, preparing to change my attire, gazing into the mirror while clad solely I was getting ready for the events. Just as I was on the verge of slipping into a dress, a subtle creak of the door caught my attention. "Sophie, your door's open," Daniel said softly from the doorway. His voice carried a serene strength that startled me awake. As I turned my head, I caught his gaze fixed upon me. Time appeared to stand still. Uncertainty enveloped me, leaving me at a loss for direction. I remained still, leaving myself exposed yet refusing to shift from my position. He lingered at the threshold, his hand poised on the door as if caught in a silent struggle between entering and retreating. His gaze held for a moment, stirring within me a tide of bewilderment and an elusive sensation, something beyond words. My heart raced within my chest. In mere seconds, the world around me felt as though it had transformed entirely. "I'm sorry," he said at last, his gaze drifting away. Though his tone lacked true contrition, it bore a trace of uncertainty, as if he were caught in the throes of doubt about whether he genuinely felt remorse. He retreated, yet his essence lingered in the air, persisting even after the door clicked shut behind him. "It's fine," I murmured, my voice trembling just a bit. Yet deep down, I was acutely aware that it was anything but fine. A change had taken root within me, and it demanded my attention. He departed, and I found myself solitary with my reflections, but his lingering gaze and the delicate tension in the atmosphere remained with me. That moment lingered in my thoughts, an indelible mark I couldn't erase. I believed it to be merely an error, a fleeting awkwardness, destined to dissipate, yet I was mistaken. Merely a handful of days passed before it occurred once more, and this time it ventured even deeper. Until that moment, everything could easily have been dismissed as an awkward blunder, a misaligned encounter, and I shared that sentiment. Yet, it soon became clear to me that this was just the beginning. That day marked merely the inception. From that moment on, I shall recount every detail of what transpired. The following day, we were to partake in a wedding celebration. One of my mother's dearest friends was preparing to embark on the journey of marriage once more. My mother radiated her typical cheerfulness and enthusiasm, elegantly attired and fully prepared for the occasion. Laura had always been a person who reveled in the joy of life. I held a deep affection for my friends, yet my commitment to the concept of loyalty, in its more profound essence, was not as steadfast. While I wasn't particularly excited about attending, Daniel's presence at the wedding transformed the entire experience. Together, we made our way to the venue. Amidst the thrumming energy of the crowd, my gaze lingered on Daniel far more than was prudent. Perhaps he had always possessed this striking handsomeness, this undeniable charisma, and I simply failed to recognize it until now. Bathed in the gentle illumination of the wedding lights, he exuded an air of confidence. His suit was impeccably tailored. With each step he took, an air of effortless charm surrounded him. Still, I found myself grappling with the relentless thoughts swirling in my mind. I chided myself for being absurd, Sophie, yet my gaze continually drifted back to him. A melody of dance began to fill the air. My mother and Daniel found themselves at the heart of the dance floor, moving gracefully to the music's pulse. Laura wore her familiar carefree smile, but then in the midst of her dance, she abruptly turned to me and flashed a grin. Daniel extended an invitation to Sophie for a dance, and she accepted. I must make my way to my friend's place for a little while. A sudden spark ignited within me. My heart began to race. Daniel paused briefly, a smile breaking across his face as he reached out his hand to me. His eyes conveyed a sense of calm assurance, exuding confidence. "Come on, Sophie," he said, his voice carrying a playful lilt. "I would appreciate it if you could show me some techniques. Laura has already humiliated me on the dance floor." His laid-back charm made it impossible for me to say no. I extended my hand with uncertainty, my voice quivering as I responded, "Certainly." As we approached the dance floor, the eyes of the crowd upon us, a flutter of nerves danced within me. As his hand settled on my waist, a rush of breath caught in my throat. The scent of his cologne lingered in the air, and the warmth of his touch felt undeniably tangible. A twist in the tale is imminent. If this piques your interest, be sure to subscribe to my channel and enable notifications for further updates. Your support is invaluable. Remember to show your appreciation with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. As we swayed to the music, Daniel's gaze remained fixed on me, unwavering and intense. "Sophie, I had no inkling you possessed such talent," he remarked, a warm smile gracing his lips. His voice possessed a unique allure that resonated profoundly within me. "Sharing a dance with you brings true delight." I averted my eyes, attempting to conceal the tumultuous emotions stirring within me. "I'm merely striving to give my all," I confessed, yet the quiver in my voice revealed my vulnerability. Daniel's smile deepened with warmth. "Don't sell yourself short," he said, his hand pressing more firmly against my waist, a palpable weight that lingered in the air between us. "This transcends mere dancing. We are exchanging something of significance. Do you not sense it?" In that instant, I understood that our bond transcended the mere act of dancing. My body swayed rhythmically to the music, yet my heart and mind were caught in a whirlwind of chaos. The throng enveloped us, my mother by my side, while the cacophony and all else blurred into insignificance. Only Daniel remained, along with the hands that kept me anchored. The tumult of emotions within me surged, a blend of confusion and longing that felt all-consuming. As the dance unfolded, Daniel's voice emerged, soft yet profound, cutting through the tumult of my swirling thoughts. "I wish to express my apologies for what transpired the other day," he remarked. "I intended to offer you a gentle reminder, but in doing so, I may have inadvertently crossed a boundary regarding your personal space." A wave of warmth enveloped me, and I sensed my cheeks growing warm with color. My gaze fell, yet I yearned to alleviate the strain in the air. "It's all right," I replied hastily, my voice trembling just a bit. "Honestly, it's not a significant matter. Such occurrences are possible." Daniel hesitated briefly yet continued to dance, his gaze unwaveringly fixed on me. Yet he pressed on, his tone growing gentler. "I want to assure you that causing you discomfort was never my intention. I simply wished to capture your attention." My heart raced with anticipation. "I wasn't uneasy," I replied, attempting to put him at ease. Simultaneously, I grappled with the peculiar exhilaration that was starting to swell within me. "Truly, it is perfectly acceptable." The atmosphere around us grew dense for a fleeting instant as we swayed together in rhythm. His hand rested on my waist, and the sincerity in his gaze awakened something profound within me. Yet, the fervor was fleeting. As the melodies gradually faded into silence, our dance came to an end. "Thank you," Daniel remarked, a soft smile gracing his lips. "Your grace on the dance floor is simply enchanting." I merely nodded, my heart continuing to race. "Thank you as well," I replied gently. Swiftly, I made my way back to my table and took a seat. Daniel paused for a heartbeat, his gaze lingering on me, before he finally shifted to another table. Yet, in that instant, the unspoken exchanges revealed that what we shared was far from finished. It was merely the beginning. "Prepare the stage." As Laura re-entered the wedding hall, she came toward us, her face alight with a radiant smile. "What a lovely dance," she remarked, offering her congratulations to us. "You both appeared absolutely stunning out there." Her compliment left me feeling even more flustered, yet I attempted to brush it aside. "It was enjoyable," I remarked with a subtle smile. Daniel offered a subtle nod, a faint smile flickering at the corners of his mouth. Laura persisted in her speech, her hands coming together in enthusiastic applause. "Can you believe it? Following the wedding, the girls and I will be celebrating with a bachelorette party, exclusively for girls. Daniel, you will be taking Sophie home, correct?" Daniel offered a subtle smile. "Certainly, that's not an issue at all," he responded with a nonchalant air. In that instant, it became clear to me just how unjust Laura's actions were towards Daniel. On a night meant for companionship, she chose to walk away, leaving him in solitude. A twinge of unease nestled in my chest, yet I suppressed it resolutely. Laura appeared utterly indifferent. Clearly, her priority was to enjoy herself with her friends. As the wedding drew to a close, Daniel and I strolled toward the car side by side. Laura had departed with her friends to seek out new adventures. As we settled into the car, Daniel turned the key, and the engine purred to life in a hushed manner. The stillness enveloping us throughout the drive felt almost palpable. I gazed out the window, battling the urge to fill the silence with chatter. Yet it was Daniel who ultimately shattered the stillness. "Laura, at times, has varying priorities," he remarked, his gaze steady on the path before him. "Yet, I find myself astonished by her occasional lack of consideration. On evenings such as this, one would anticipate having their partner close at hand." I failed to perceive the nuance in his voice, though I maintained a serene demeanor. An undercurrent of disappointment lingered just beneath the surface. His words resonated profoundly within me. The image of someone such as Daniel, strong, charismatic, and composed, experiencing loneliness, stirred a deep ache within me. I composed myself and replied, though my voice trembled just a bit. "Indeed, in moments such as these, a touch more thoughtfulness holds significant value." Daniel gave a subtle nod. "You are correct," he replied. His eyes remained fixed on the path ahead. Yet, it seems that each relationship unfolds in its own unique way. In that instant, an unvoiced bond began to form between us. It felt as though I could grasp and even sense his solitude. Simultaneously, I grappled with the challenge of containing my own feelings. That fleeting exchange appeared to pull me nearer to him. The connection we share is deepening, silently yet with great intensity. Upon our arrival at home, Daniel swung the door open and motioned for me to enter. "Good night," he murmured. Yet, the way he paused revealed that he wasn't entirely prepared to depart just now. As I strolled toward my room, I caught sight of Daniel lingering by the doorway. An inexplicable impulse halted my steps, compelling me to turn and confront him. "Daniel," I murmured, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "Would you care to step inside? Perhaps we could engage in conversation for a bit." Though the longing in Daniel's eyes was unmistakable, he graciously turned down the offer. In the aftermath of recent events, a palpable hesitation lingered within him. I had welcomed him in to demonstrate that I had moved on, that it was no longer a significant issue, yet I found myself withdrawing to my room, endlessly replaying Laura's actions and Daniel's remarks in my thoughts. His loneliness was palpable to me. It impacted me more than I was willing to acknowledge. Perched on the edge of my bed, I endeavored to soothe my racing mind, yet the tumultuous thoughts refused to subside. What was it that kept him occupying my thoughts so frequently? What was it that compelled me to endlessly revisit the moment he inadvertently entered my room? Time slipped away, and the silence of the house deepened. Laura had yet to make her return, leaving me in the dark about Daniel's whereabouts and actions. As I grappled with my swirling thoughts, the abrupt creak of my door swinging open sent a jolt through me, leaving me momentarily paralyzed. As I raised my gaze, there stood Daniel in the doorway. His gaze radiated a fierce resolve, yet his countenance betrayed an inner turmoil. I sprang to my feet. "Daniel," I exclaimed, struggling to mask the astonishment in my tone. "What brings you to this place?" He shut the door softly, yet hesitated to cross the threshold into the room. Instead, he remained motionless, as though engaged in an internal struggle. "Sophie," he started, his voice soft yet heavy with feeling. Indeed, you are correct. Laura, she treats me unjustly. Yet this evening, I find myself indifferent to Laura's actions or lack thereof. He advanced a step, his eyes firmly meeting mine. For some time now, I have harbored feelings for you, he confessed. His voice remained steady, yet it carried an undertone of hesitation. It was particularly after that day when I found myself wandering into your room by mere chance. It lingers in my thoughts, refusing to fade away. The atmosphere felt as if it had been drained, leaving an unsettling stillness in its wake. Words eluded me and thoughts slipped away like shadows. Daniel pressed on, an unmistakable resolve in his voice, intent on unburdening himself, fully aware that he might later wish he had held his tongue. Perhaps I am on the brink of a monumental error, yet I find myself unable to contain this any longer. Sophie, you occupy my thoughts constantly. He halted, his gaze probing my expression for any sign of a response. It was evident that he could perceive the astonishment reflected in my gaze. He advanced another step, his voice becoming gentler. You truly grasp my essence, Sophie. Perhaps you are unaware, yet you perceive my presence. That is an achievement that has always eluded Laura. My heart raced with such intensity that I feared it might explode. The gravity of the moment was suffocating. I wished to reply, yet the words eluded me. The stillness enveloping us was thick, laden with the myriad of unsaid feelings we dared not confront. Daniel finally averted his eyes, letting them drift down to the ground. With a heavy sigh, he swallowed with difficulty. I'm sorry, Sophie, he said. His voice was soft, delicate, and nearly ethereal. I regret having uttered any of this. I ought to take my leave. He averted his gaze and began to stride toward the door. Each step he took was measured, yet it was evident that a weight accompanied him. As he extended his hand toward the doorknob, I observed the subtle rise and fall of his shoulders, a deep breath escaping him. In that moment, a profound change stirred within me. All my fears and confusion dissipated, giving way to a newfound boldness I never realized was within me. I simply couldn't allow him to walk away. Daniel, I called, my voice a mere whisper yet potent enough to resonate throughout the space. He came to a halt. Gradually, he pivoted to face me, our gazes locking in a silent exchange. Within them swirled a tempest, a clash of remorse and yearning unfolding in their very core. In that fleeting instant, we remained utterly still. With hands that quivered, I lost in my thoughts down my shoulders, allowing it to cascade to the floor. The soft glow in the room highlighted a cool breeze from the window brushed against me, pulling me back to reality, while the cool air caressed my body gently. Daniel's gaze was upon me, fierce and unyielding. His gaze was fixed on me, and despite the urge to glance elsewhere, I found myself unable to break the spell of his scrutiny. I have not forgotten either, Daniel, I declared, my voice quivering. Yet the resolve within me was powerful enough to eclipse it. That day, the instant you stepped into my room, everything transformed. Since that moment, I've endeavored to stifle these emotions, yet I find it impossible, for I share the same affection for you. Perhaps I have for quite some time. As the words spilled forth, my heart raced with such intensity that I feared it might burst from my chest. Daniel fell silent for a moment, his gaze locked onto mine, as if he were attempting to unravel the meaning behind my words. Yet within those eyes I discerned the same magnetic draw, the same inescapable bond that had been stirring within me. This evening I found myself inhaling deeply, seeking a sense of calm and steadiness. I am weary of battling these emotions any longer. I'm uncertain about the morality of it, but this is the sentiment I hold, Daniel. He moved nearer, his fingers softly caressing my cheek. His touch was gentle yet intentional, as though he feared shattering the fragile beauty of the moment. When our gazes intertwined, it seemed as though the distance that separated us was merely a figment of imagination. With deliberate slowness, he bent down and our lips collided in a tender embrace. That initial kiss released a torrent of emotions and desires we had both restrained for what felt like an eternity. Daniel's touch deepened, his kisses igniting with an intensity that surged with every fleeting moment. The idea of retreating, of halting, never even flickered in my thoughts. I found myself utterly immersed in the experience. With deliberate care, I retreated until the familiar edge of the bed met the backs of my legs, and then I surrendered to gravity, allowing myself to collapse onto its surface. I observed Daniel's hands as they deftly navigated the buttons of his shirt, methodically unfastening them, one by one. Each movement was intentional, as though he wished to relish this moment, to prolong it indefinitely. As he finally cast aside his shirt, an air of confidence and authority enveloped the room, asserting his presence in a way that was impossible to ignore. He advanced another step closer, his eyes locked onto mine with unwavering intensity. Once he arranged his clothes meticulously at the bed's edge, he leaned in, inching closer and closer, until the only thing separating us was the palpable electricity in the air. The atmosphere surrounding us was charged with nothing but fervor and longing. Time appeared to freeze in that moment. In that fleeting instant, it was just the two of us. He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming, but both of us remained frozen by the weight of our emotions. We shared a powerful, unspoken connection that neither of us dared to voice aloud, forming a profound connection. The experience was profoundly moving. A profound warmth stirred within me, something vast and enveloping. This experience was unlike any I had encountered previously. As I gazed upon Daniel, his broad shoulders and muscular physique were unmistakably evident. I shut my eyes and lifted my hands skyward, pressing them resolutely against the pillow, attempting to mirror the rhythm of Daniel's body. In that instant, my body tensed with intensity. Daniel gazed at me and remarked, "You are truly special. I have always been aware of that. Now I grasp it more clearly." He gasped for air. "So are you, Daniel?" I inquired, a warm feeling blossoming within me. All seemed to unfold as if woven from the fabric of a dream. Once Daniel settled beside me, I nestled my head against his chest. As I rested against his solid chest, the steady cadence of his heartbeat resonated in my ears. The weight of this moment enveloped me, offering a strange blend of tranquility and inner chaos. With a delicate touch, my fingers glided over his chest, each movement a silent plea for the courage to shatter the stillness between us. "You didn't wander into my room by chance this time, Daniel," I stated, my voice soft yet laden with significance. I raised my head to meet his eyes, my words compelling him to face the truth, while simultaneously exposing the inner chaos I was experiencing. Daniel offered a subtle smile, yet the profound contemplation was unmistakably carved into his expression. "No, Sophie," he said, "nothing about this was by chance. I needed to express my feelings, regardless of how challenging it may be." I averted my eyes to his chest, my fingers gradually easing their pace. With a deep breath, I began to speak once more. "You're truly a remarkable and exceptionally handsome man, Daniel," I murmured gently. "What unfolds beyond this point? What are the next steps we should take? My mother's acquaintances?" Daniel inclined his head ever so slightly, drawing me nearer as his fingers wove through my hair with a gentle touch. His voice carried a serene quality, yet it brimmed with deep emotion. "I'm uncertain, Sophie. All I can grasp is that in this very moment, everything feels undeniably real. I cannot deny the closeness we share." His words only intensified the tempest within me, yet paradoxically, his candor brought a sense of calm. I shut my eyes, immersing myself in the comforting warmth of his presence, even as the shadows of uncertainty about the future hovered above us. In that moment, our only option was to embrace the essence of one another. If you've journeyed this far, it's clear that my tale has resonated with you profoundly. There is an abundance of insights to unveil, and you certainly won't want to overlook a single moment of it. Make sure to click the follow button, enable notifications, and remember to share your thoughts on this story in the comments. I eagerly anticipate your reflections.